So in my opinion, these designer fragrances are each a work of art in their own special and unique way. You know, there are typically a couple reasons why a lot of us are out there buying fragrances. I think it all starts off with you just want to get compliments and smell good, right? I think that is probably what gets 99% of people into this hobby, is that mission, just wanting to make a step towards self-improvement, smelling good, kind of honing in on your hygiene and stuff. And if you take care of everything else, you know, selecting a good cologne is kind of like the finishing touch. And I think that gets a lot of people started. But then after you smell a bunch of different things, hundreds and hundreds of different fragrances, you really start to care less about that. And you start to get into that desire for discovering new things and kind of figuring out what works best for you in terms of really making you feel good just because of the way it smells and how fascinating the scent might be to you, how mesmerizing it is. You know, you really start to enjoy that aspect of it. And this video is going to be for those of you who are in that situation right now. Now, I'm not saying that these won't get you compliments. I'm not discounting that, because a good bulk majority of these are mass pleasing. Again, they're all designers. However, that's not what we're focusing on. That's not the reason why they've landed in this video. I'm taking a look at each one of these and focusing in on the scent profile, how the scent develops, the overall wearing experience, not factoring in really anything else. Even performance is something that is an afterthought. So if you want some designer fragrances that are truly 10 out of 10 works of art, just masterpieces, completely impeccable, this video is going to be for you. And I'll drop some links down below for you if you want to grab any of these for yourself at discounters. And also you can sign up to my mailing list and my texting list at the link down below and the number down below. Some great deals have been popping up. Anything that you can think of that's hard to find, rare, sending out notifications when they come in stock. Also just notifying you of fragrance sales and things like that you might miss otherwise if they're a quick little 48-hour sale or something. So I promise you won't want to miss out. Get on the lists down below. Let's get things kicked off with an obvious one. And I don't think I could ever do a video like this without featuring this. It is DIOR Homme Intense. Now, one other thing I want to throw in really quickly. This video is focused around things that you can actually purchase. I'm not factoring in discontinued fragrances. If I were, it would be a whole different ballgame. And I'm not even really factoring in rare, hard to find stuff either. The reason why I say that is because DIOR Homme Parfum would also be another very strong contender for this video. And in fact, it would be basically a tie between that and the Intense version. But because DHP is very hard to get, we're going for this one instead. Now this has iris, it's got ambrette, there's some lavender in here, so a little bit chocolatey, a little bit sweet, has a little bit of a unique texture to it from the iris. People say lipsticky makeup bag. I guess that's a way to describe it. I don't like to say that just because I think it leads people in the wrong direction, but it does have a very distinct texture and smell overall. Has a little bit of an aromatic mid going on, a little bit of a masculine, fresher edge from the lavender. This stuff is an absolute gem of a scent. It's been around for years at this point, and few different versions. It started out with DIOR Homme, and we got the Intense, and of course the Parfum and things of that nature. But ultimately, this is one that you can get easily anywhere, retail or discounted, and it is absolutely amazing. Next up, we have a newer one, Hugo Boss The Scent Magnetic. Kind of an interesting name. Not the most fitting, because that kind of, to me, makes me think of something that's fresher and brighter and, you know, something like that, just kind of a different vibe, but that's not what this is. Unique one. Besides the manica fruit, which is standard with all of these, you get this unique bran accord, which kind of gives off this wheat type of smell, wheat, some aromatics, this fruity sweetness from the manica fruit. You get a pretty standard tonka bean, kind of dusty, powdery smell. This is very good. And that bran accord is really making this one stand out, and it mixes well with everything else. And so this is something that is a little bit of a change of pace. You know, it still has the scent accord, kind of smell going on, the manica fruit, but it's also doing its own thing, kind of branching off and taking a different approach, and still something that would pull you compliments for sure. But I would more so look into this one if you want a different wearing experience than you might be used to. Next up, we have BRIONI Eau de Parfum Intense. So I have to say, these BRIONI scents are all really good. Right now, we have 4 of them. It starts off with an Eau de Parfum. That's the original, the first one. And then we have this one. Then we have Éclat, which is going to be the summer version. And then finally, we have the new Eau de Parfum Essentiel, I believe is what it is. I did a first impressions video on it, kind of greenish bottle. That one is really good, but so is this. And again, they all are. You can only feature so many in one video without it being repetitive, and I kind of went with the Eau de Parfum Intense. Interesting notes here. You've got some oud, okay? You have some apple, you have some tangerine. So kind of an interesting combo of a woody, kind of semi-smoky oud, gives it a little bit of a Middle Eastern smell, but then they really throw in a lot of balance with some of the fruits and things like that. You get some other woods in here as well, a little bit of musk, but that's kind of the extent of it. And so I think it's really well done because when you start throwing oud into things, you can lose people really quick. For a lot of people, even just seeing that note and the fact that I said it, it's going to be an immediate pass, okay? And I was like that a long time ago. At this point, I've really warmed up to oud, and when it's used in moderation like this, it's no problem at all. It smells great in here. The fruits really do a good job of kind of equaling everything out, but it ultimately does give you something very unique because that's not a combination that you see every day. Generally, oud is always paired with a rose accord or something else, and, you know, not going to be for everybody, but this one is different, and I really like that about it. Next up, we're going to go with YSL Eau de Parfum Intense. Yes, I do really think that this one is probably the peak of the line, honestly, which is crazy to say because the Eau de Parfum was a smash hit. I mean, the Eau de Parfum is a huge scent. That one, not only super popular here in the community, but even outside of the community, it's a big time. You know, it did way better than the Eau de Toilette. The Le Parfum version, I don't think will ever live up to that in terms of just its popularity. And to be honest with you, I think it would be hard for this one to live up to that level of popularity as well, because as they continue to go on, it just is less likely for it to blow up outside of the community. So I'm not even talking popularity, but in terms of scent DNA, they're removing the apple, they're removing a lot of that sweetness, and they're really focusing in on the amberwood and aromatics. Sage, lavender, geranium, kind of a green mintiness. They really beef that up. The mid in this smells fantastic, and it really is going to be the most mature and refined one of the entire line, even more so than the Le Parfum, which before this came out, the Le Parfum was the most refined, mature version, but not anymore. And they really listened to people, I think, because a lot of people didn't like the apple. I do. I like it. But I also like this because there are times where that sweet apple is a bit too much. And so if it's a really hot day or you're just not feeling something that's going to be sweet and kind of playful and you want something more refined and mature and elegant and classy, this is going to be the option for you. I think they did a great job. They struck a perfect balance between keeping this as a flanker and having it similar to the others, but also making it different enough to where it's not redundant. I think that's kind of something that's hard to achieve when it comes to making flankers. Sometimes I get it in one direction or the other and it might not make any sense, but this one here turned out perfect. Let's stick with YSL because let's admit, over the years, they have put out some amazing things. Now this one is throwing it back a ways. 2009, 2010, something like that. La Nuit de l'Homme Eau de Toilette, obviously the original, the OG. This is what started the La Nuit de l'Homme line, obviously, of which now we have many flankers of. And of course, L'Homme came before this. Maybe you can say that this is kind of a flanker of that, but both L'Homme and La Nuit de l'Homme each have 2 separate lines that kind of branch off and flankers of each. So whenever you want to look at it, but this one here is the one I wanted to feature because it is incredible. You guys know the note breakdown. It's all about the cardamom, the cedar wood, some lavender in here. It's warm, it's spicy, it's rich, it's seductive, it's addicting to the extreme. One of the very best date night fragrances for men ever created, and still to this day, it holds that title for me. And I would still recommend you to buy this in 2023. The flankers are great. There's a lot of really good ones on both sides, but I think every guy should still have a bottle of the OG. I don't care that it has been made weaker and it's been altered over the years. I have old bottles dating all the way back to the very first 4-digit batch code, like very first formulation. I have some of that, and I've got new bottles as well. I bought a new one either early this year or late last year. I stay up to date. Are there differences? Yes. Is it something that you should sit there and cry about? No, I don't think so. It still maintains that cardamom, sexy, mysterious DNA. You don't need good performance for a date night scent. If you're going out to dinner, this is all you need. Let's jump over to Chanel, because we all know they have some hits as well. I could have gone for just a pretty standard Bleu de Chanel. Eau de Parfum or Parfum would probably be one of my two choices, probably the Parfum. But, you know, we already have a blue scent in here, so let's do something different. I think this one is also a work of art. Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. I mean, it is so good. It's got tonka bean, mint, a little bit of orange in here, very unique. Basically takes that somewhat fresh, but also powdery sweet kind of tonka C-note orange DNA from Sport, and they just add a little bit more sweetness, a little bit more depth, mintiness, and they take away some of that aquatic note and they just make it more powdery. And this one is fantastic for pretty much any situation. It's got great versatility. You can get your money's worth out of it. I love everything about this. It smells so modern. It smells so expensive as well. Even though it is pretty mainstream and doesn't branch out and get too daring, it just has this really premium quality and smell and experience to it. I love this stuff. It's amazing. Next up, we have Acqua di Gio Profondo, kind of jumping over to, one, a summer scent, but two, Armani. Now, you know, I would have definitely considered putting Armani Code Absolute, Armani Code Profumo in here. Fantastic scents. But those are discontinued. You really just cannot get them anymore with any sort of consistency. So those are out, and we'll throw in an Acqua di Gio because they have some amazing hits in that line. Profumo is one of them. The new Parfum is definitely one of them. It's Profumo, but more refined and just essentially brought back to life, more modern. Great. What else? You could go with the Eau de Parfum, but I kind of wanted to go with the brightest, freshest Profondo because the mineral note accord in here with the orange and the C notes is unlike anything I've ever smelled on the aquatic market. So this truly is a different wearing experience. You know, this is something that you just don't smell every day. It's different than the original Acqua di Gio. It's different than all of the other aquatics that you can possibly think of. But ultimately what this is super refreshing. It's great for those hot days that we have coming up here in August. Hot, humid, sunny, right? Miserable. This works for that. It is a beauty of a scent. Gentleman Eau de Parfum Reserve Privé is another masterpiece in my opinion. I love this stuff. I think it is by far their best work so far. And for the longest time, I have loved just the Eau de Parfum, and I still do. I think it's great. But this one, basically taking that DNA and providing some whiskey, some chestnut, it really kind of brings everything back together. So the iris is still here front and center, but those other notes coming in that I just listed off, giving it a little bit of a booziness and even a little bit of a gourmand kind of sweet, edible edge. Really, really well done. And I mean, when this one was first announced and I looked at the note breakdown, I knew I was going to love it. I could just tell. I mean, those notes for me are amazing. But when I got it in and tried it, it really was still exceeding my expectations somehow. Like they did everything right with this. Amazing, beautiful work of art. You might ask, well, you know, if you were so sure you were going to love it, why do you have the small bottle? Well, that's because I bought it at retail from Givenchy directly, their website, and the 100 ml was sold out. All they had was the 60, so I went for it. Probably this winter, I'll jump into a 100 just to kind of have around, but this is what started it. Okay, running down to the end with Prada L'Homme Intense. It's back. You can get it again. Discounters have it. I believe you can get it at retail now. So yeah, it's a thing again. And I'm glad because I had to obviously hold off. I didn't have to. I can run this channel and post anything, right? Feature anything. But I don't like to do that. When you can't buy something, I don't like to talk about it because then it's like, well, getting people's hopes up. So as soon as this one was non-existent, Discounters didn't have it. You couldn't even buy it at retail. I didn't feature it anymore. And that was a bummer for me because it was my favorite and still is my favorite of the line. And it's hard when you love something so much and it's your favorite, but you just can't share that anymore because you can't buy it, but it's back. So what's the difference? Well, it does have the iris and kind of soapiness, but most notably the leather in here is a new addition to the DNA. They threw in some leather here, which gives it more of a masculine edge, and then some tonka bean is amped up to, again, provide some additional support to the leather and give it a little bit more sweetness and more depth, more richness. So still soapy, but not as much. The easiest way to describe this, and this is why I love it so much, it's nighttime Prada L'Homme. When you wake up in the morning and you go to work, 8 a.m., you wear Prada L'Homme. It'll get you through the day. You're going to meet with some friends, go out to the bar after work, toss this one on before you head out. It layers perfectly, and now you have an evening, more seductive kind of version of that that'll take you through the rest of the night. It is the perfect combo. Get some while you can. And last up, another new one. I just kind of had to do it. Le Male ELIXIR. The ELIXIR trend is in full force. They upgraded the bottle. You get this bigger pull tab. You get a cool textured bottle that is unlike any of the other ones. Definitely the most premium flanker yet, both in presentation, but most importantly in smell. So honey, tobacco, some tonka bean, some lavender, vanilla. So some standard tropes of Le Male, so lavender, kind of vanilla from the original, but also a little bit of that sweetness from Le Male Le Parfum carrying over into this. And then with its own twist, the tobacco and honey combo, which kind of, you know, that's been done a million times. Xerjoff Naxos and Mugler's Pure Havan and stuff like Insurrection Pure 2 Wild, you know, the clones and stuff like that. So many of them, right? But this is their own little take because it has that Le Male Le Parfum DNA mixed in with that dusty, kind of sweet, syrupy honey tobacco mixture. Very mature, elegant, classy, refined. This is going to be a complete knockout this winter. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. These are all works of art in their own way, in my opinion. 10 out of 10 gems that you need to consider. Links will be down below, and again, most importantly, you got to get on the texting list and the email list. I promise you do not want to miss out, and you will be the first to know about any rare finds like DIOR Homme Parfum, any big deals, big sales, whatever. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.